Hi everyone, my name's Trevor from Coiltek, and today I have a very special guest with us to talk about some of the NOX coils. We have Leighton Harrington from New England in the USA. He's been a detectorist for over 50 years, so he's certainly seen lots of coils and detectors over the years and has tried many different combinations. Hey Leighton, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and thanks for having me tonight, Trevor. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. It's really good to speak with you. And it's been a little while between we've had a face-to-face conversation, but we do appreciate you testing the coils and having some fun with them. You've been a tester of ours for a few products now, so hopefully these new NOX series have certainly given you a bit more opportunity.
They more than an opportunity. I'll tell you what. Like you said, I've been around for over 50 years doing this. I started back in '72, and it's the hobby is one of the best hobbies in the world. And with this new technology that you guys have come up with, I honestly can't say it can't be beat. I'm going over areas that are, been pounded and pounded by myself, my dad, my whole family over the years, and we're just finding so much stuff. It's crazy.
Obviously, with the three new sizes we have, one of the main coils we have that we think will be very popular out there is the 10x5. It's a new design, fully submersible and fully approved by Minelab. How have you found the 10x5 with its performance? What sort of abilities have you found that the 10x5 has given you more opportunities with?
Well, I think one of the best abilities that it has is because it's elliptical, it's nice and small, very lightweight, and like you said, very submersible. No problems at all. When we get a nor'easter up here in the New England area of the USA, we have a lot of rocks, and to get in between the rocks, this is the little coil that is perfect for that. As you know, I've been doing pretty well with it since we've had them on our Equinox 800. And just to show you a couple, there's a couple of nice rings that we just recently got not too long ago. I would say within the last 30 or 40 days. So yeah, I'm really a big believer with that small coil. Depth-wise, out on the sand, 2 and 3 scoops deep. No kidding. No exaggeration at all.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, some of the rings that you find have been deposited there for many years, and sometimes hundreds of years. You were telling me before off the video. How have you found it with maneuverability and, obviously, like you're saying, rocks? I mean, that's given you a lot more opportunity when you have an elliptical coil.
Right. Well, here's the thing, and let me just first of all say another little good attribute with that particular coil. The little tabs that come up and are holding to the rod itself.
Yeah, the wings
superb,
on
nice
the
and
coil.
hard. That's correct. I'll tell you what, great job with that, and I'll tell you why. Especially here in the cold weather. Today I was out with that, and it was 24 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's Fahrenheit.
I believe you guys go by. Yeah, you guys go by Celsius, I think. But yeah, very cold. So my point is, if you hit something or hit a rock, I mean, we all do it. It's normal use. You know what I mean? But I've hit a few, and it takes quite a little bit of abuse for sure. Haven't had any issues with it. Maneuverability, it's a clean sweep in between all the little rocks. And if you come back in a different direction, I'll be danged if I don't find more stuff in a different direction. So very sensitive. I love the depth. And like I said, those tabs, I know it may sound silly to some, but for me up here in the New England area where it gets very cold, that's a perfect setup.
Yeah, I mean, the wing design that we did is certainly a strong one. We put some extra angles on it and thickened it up at the base as well, so it made it nice and strong, because we know that is a concern with some other coils out there where the wings can break a little bit more often than others. So we had to make sure that these coils were robust and were able to take that, extra use out there. I wouldn't say abuse, but definitely extra use, because when you are trying to push these coils through some of the environments, they do take a bit of a beating because they're right on the end of that shaft there. So how have you found the sensitivity and pinpointing ability with the 10x5?
Excellent, excellent. I don't know if everybody does it, but I have a tendency to not even use the trigger for pinpointing on any of the coils I've ever used. I've just gotten accustomed to, so that goes to show you how accurate they are. Every time, you go left to right, the smaller the footprint, the easier it is to pinpoint. Yes. But I find that if I go a little bit faster, it cuts down on the width end of it. And then of course I just make the cross, and very, very easy. Yeah. I love it.
Well, you do most of your detecting on the beach, you would say, in the sandy areas and on the rock. But how have you found the 10x5, on the land when you've actually detected around those areas?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll tell you, I've actually used it in our corn. We up here in like I said, in the States, we don't do a lot of soybean, but we do a lot of farm areas like potatoes, squash and corn. Corn stalks, when they get cut down, are about only 6 inches high. Yep. So they take all that stuff away. But these little coils get right in between all those areas that we weren't able to get to before. So again, very good depth pinpointing. I've found very, very easy with it inside the dirt.
And what about the balance on the machine? The coil, being 10x5, is naturally going to be lighter than larger ones, but we didn't want to make it too light, so it felt like there was nothing there, and still keep the robustness. How have you found the balance with this coil?
Yeah, fantastic. I like the 5x10, and well, we can discuss some other ones later, but right now, as far as the 5x10, I like the thickness of it. I like the shape of it. I just, honestly, that's my favorite one. That's my go-to.
Well, I think that'll be certainly a good go-to coil for many of the detectorists out there, for sure. The 10x5 are expecting some good things out of this one, and so far you've certainly proven it with those rings that you've found.
Yes.
Obviously, it is another option out there. There's 3 coils from Minelab, and now we've released 3 coils, all of different sizes and shapes. So what would you expect from the 10x5 when you took it out? So say if someone hasn't used a smaller coil like this before, they've been using the standard coil on the Equinox, what would you say to them that you would expect from this coil when you go to areas that may be new, trashy, or areas where you've been before and found some good gear?
Yeah, I'd have to tell somebody, my recommendation, if they're looking for, like, say, to go into a park, that would be the good coil to go to. It's got excellent separation. You're not losing anything on your depth. A lot of people think that when they go from a larger coil to a smaller coil, for some reason they've got in their mind that it's going to be losing depth. I have not found that at all with this particular coil. So the 5x10, I would say, would be really good in a park if they're doing land. And again, like we just illustrated with my finds with the rings down on the rocks, that would be a good place too.
Yeah, fantastic. And I suppose you're itching to get this coil in the water once things warm up over there, because 24 degrees Fahrenheit is certainly not bathing weather in the sea. But when things warm up, will you get in the water? Do you do much water hunting with these detectors and with this coil, do you think?
No, I have already done it in the water. Found a lot of silver coins. In the winter time, like right now, yes, very cold. The water is actually warmer than the air, 40 degrees. So wow. I'll wear my wetsuit. I go out to my neck, and or I'll either that or I'll turn around and use a pair of insulated, waders and just head out. But yeah, we've done very well with the silver rings already, a couple of gold rings, and yes, out about neck deep.
Yeah, well, that's I can't wait to see some more stuff when it gets to your summer, because you'll be certainly putting in longer hours. And you showed us a couple of rings before. Have you got any other items that you found with the 10x5 so far while you've been testing the products and using them?
Yeah, I have. I just so happened I put together quite a few of my silver coins in the last. I would have to say this is the last 4 or 5 hunts. I hope you'll be able to see them, but it's a good little handful. It's a little pile of silver. I mean, it's getting there. That's my stock for the year. So I'd say a good 10 or 15 coins in there. And one of them just so happens to be, hopefully we can get a better picture of this for you guys. This is a $50, and they're pretty rare. we just don't get them every day. So that is with the small coil. Yep. And out in the water.
Yeah, well, it's certainly got some good, flexibility, maneuverability. Sensitivity is quite high because it is a smaller coil. Like you're saying, you don't lose a lot of depth with this coil. And obviously, the larger coils will naturally go deeper on larger targets. But for smaller targets, This one's got very good depth capabilities.
Absolutely. Yeah, I dug a ring yesterday. I can show it to you right here. This one was 3 scoops deep. And now you got to remember that when we're on the beach, the sand does collapse in, but it took me 3 to 4 scoops to retrieve it out of the hole. So I'd have to say, if I had to average it, a good 15 to 16 inches deep. And that one is the one that we have right there. Pretty large, sterling silver. But, again, down in the rocks, that thing's a beast.
I mean, that's amazing stuff that you're finding with it. And so how have you found the 10x5? Do you use the 6-inch much, the standard one, like one of the Minelab ones, or the standard 11? Obviously, you've been using them over the years. How have you found the fitment between those two coils with this 10x5?
I think I'm getting much, even though the Minelab makes a round coil, 6-inch, I'm finding with the 5x10, it actually works a lot better, and I'll tell you why. If I can get in between the rocks, that's where I'm finding a lot of my relics or things that people are going over or by because they're afraid to get in between. With that particular coil being elliptical, that's the key right there. I'm able to get in between and get a signal where perhaps someone that might have gone over the top of the rock isn't going to get because they're too high off the ground. So that would be my best definition between the 6-inch and the elliptical, because although the 6 inches round, I can't get in between them.
And that makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. That 1 inch, the 5x10. Yes, exactly. The 5-inch only widthwise is where I'm starting to find that even in areas that I've been, I'm now discovering it's like a new place again. Fantastic. So that to me, where I dig every single day, as you know, I am part retired, so I'm able to get out there on a daily basis. I can see the levels of the rocks. I can see what needs to be done, and I can pick and choose what arsenal I need to bring on the beach, and the 10x5 is it.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, the coils that we made are purely that, just other options, other tools that you can use in different areas. Not one coil can do everything out there. It's going to be, your choice of the right coil for the right situation and the right targets that you're looking for. So these coils will give you some other opportunities out there. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, and I can attest to it. Yeah, absolutely.